Good evening. Welcome back to the second segment of the Glazov Gang. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Jim.
In our first segment, we were discussing how the Obama administration is carrying out Islamic blasphemy laws in the United States now, or planning to, but I see the start of it, even them grabbing this filmmaker and dragging him out of his house in the middle of the night by U.S. authorities. Let's start with this and something that Rob brought up last segment. Al-Qaeda has hit the Libyan embassy, raped an ambassador before they murdered him, killed 3 other Americans, and the Obama administration is not really being honest with us about what it knew, when it knew it, what it knows, and instead it's blaming a film. I think this is a foreign policy disaster. Nancy, let me begin with you.
Well, the film had nothing to do with it, actually. Excuse me. You can go on the internet, on YouTube, any day of the week, and you can find thousands of anti-Islam films, YouTube videos, one after another after another. I have a whole library of them. And so the film actually had nothing to do with it. In fact, the film was out for a while before this ever happened. We had the Libyan president said that they notified us and that it was a concerted effort.
So if we were notified and the Obama administration was forewarned, now it's still not admitting it. Where is the media reporting on this foreign policy failure?
Wait, let me say something about this. Wait, this is where, because I've defended a lot before on your show. I've defended the Obama administration where I felt they were, you guys were jumping on them, and I look at this instance, and this is one where it drives me nuts that politicians have to be politicians. It's like, we were wrong. We got caught unprepared. We were warned.
Obama was wrong.
Yeah, us as a nation, our government.
Our administration
was warned that they could not handle what was likely to happen. They still didn't take that alone. Why they didn't take precautions? Then it happens. They go, oh well, it was a movie. It was a spontaneous act.
This is a catastrophe.
It is.
And now they've still not really fully. And my problem with our media, only in this regard, with the media in this regard, is I have no problem with the media being super critical of mistakes that one side makes. But you got to be critical of the mistakes, and not even just the other side.
Okay.
It's our government.
Okay,
this
Rob.
is our government, and they messed up big time.
But let me sum that up for you. Catastrophe of the Obama administration and the shameless silence of the liberal media and not getting on this.
That's why Obama's not afraid to take these actions and to do nothing and to be cowed, because he knows he's never going to get the same, get dragged through the mud the way that Bush would, the way that any Republican would. He'll never be treated the way that they are. So, why not take this benign view of things? They're not going to hold his feet to the fire about anything.
And instead they're criticizing Romney. Every time I watch the media,
and by the way, I want to mention something about this al-Qaeda thing and the whole conflagration, this catastrophe. You're right, it's a catastrophe. But don't ever forget, ever forget, all these people running through the streets with their cartoon jihad, and they got a problem with someone drawing a cartoon. They got a problem with YouTube. Type Jew into YouTube and tell me what comes up. Do you see the Jews rioting? No. So here's the deal. Don't lose sight of the fact. You talk about the Arab street. The Arab street, should be ashamed of itself for responding to this nonsense, this nonsense media. They should be ashamed. Don't lose sight of it. You can talk about al-Qaeda. It was pre-planned, blah, 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 blah. The fact is you got a lot of people out there who will kill and be killed over a cartoon.
Just
That's
let
insane.
Nancy go.
That's insane.
Okay, Nancy, go ahead.
It was the 11th anniversary of September 11th.
Mm-hmm.
That's very significant.
It was significant.
It's very significant because they're into this numerology thing, a lot of them. And if we were not prepared for the 11th anniversary of September 11th, what about the fact that they didn't allow our people at the Egyptian embassy to have live ammunition? They couldn't defend themselves because they didn't have live ammunition. So, they should have had some kind of precautions. They should have known. Yeah. And Obama likes to deflect from the fact that this is terrorism.
Yeah, and even Rob, to an extent, as an independent, is admitting that the media is not on this, right?
On this one, I will. I know what's going on. On this one, I will say I've watched pretty closely. I think CNN is the closest to trying to be objective in the television media, and I watch, and they consistently give this a free pass and sort of, instead of hammering away. And for me, it's not about which administration's in power. It's about, this is an important thing to pay attention to, because again, I think this is what, if we can, when you're ready, can we talk a little about what's happening in Iran? Because I think that's
what I want to get to. But in terms of our argument before and what we're talking about, I want to say quickly, I'm wearing an American flag button on my jacket, something that Obama tried not to do in the 2007 election. I think that was very prophetic in terms of what he did. He took the American flag off. And again, I will say, he did it, and that was a sign, and it was a warning of what is happening now. In 2007, he took it off temporarily, and then all of a sudden, people start realizing it was happening, and he was like, oh, I have to campaign for the American people. Let me put this back on again. And the same thing with the allegiance. And again, one second, and the Pledge of Allegiance. I know you disagree, but I'm going to keep telling you.
Pro-American.
I know, but
he's just wrong about his path.
I know, but Rob, we're going to keep arguing and arguing about this until finally there's going to be blasphemy laws that are going to put all of us in prison. Right. I'm telling you, this guy wants the destruction of the United States of America. Go watch
Listen, these blasphemy law things that are happening on the international scale. I'm going to tell you something right now. Americans have very thick skulls in this country, and we're really overfed. If you look at me, obviously, we're overfed, we're overpaid, we're overindulged, and we're not prepared to defend our freedoms. But I'll tell you this, Jamie, don't worry about the blasphemy laws, because ultimately Americans, Rob, me, everybody, will stand up about this nonsense blasphemy.
No, I know, but
no one's going to give up their freedom.
What evidence do you have to? I'm even bringing up to Rob, why would a man campaigning for president of the United States of America take the American flag pin off of his jacket? Why would he say that America is not when he's asked if America isn't exceptional? Well, it's exceptional just like Britain is exceptional or any other country.
Because he's the furthest left American president in history.
Absolutely.
That's why.
Okay, I want to move on to Iran and Israel. Nancy, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, not only did he take the flag pin off, but when he was running for office, there was a time when they were campaigning, and all of the different candidates, including Hillary Clinton, and all of them were standing on stage. They were playing the national anthem, and everybody was standing with their hand over their heart, and Obama was standing like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we once had 1,500 nuclear warheads. Obama's got them down.
300.
5,000. Obama, 1 second, we had 5. Yeah, but he's got it down to 1,500, and he wants it to go down to 300.
Wait, that's not a bad thing.
Oh, it's a very bad thing.
That's a very bad thing.
Not when the rest of the world is developing more and more.
Peace through strength.
We are the only nation in the world that has ever used a nuclear weapon. We have the biggest arsenal in the world. We are completely
we are safe.
We should have used one on 9/12, Rob. 9/12 should have been the second.
One second.
Nuke should have been 9/12.
There's going to be an imbalance. There's going to be an imbalance.
9/12 should have been the third nuke.
No. What I'm saying is, under Obama, it was 5,000. Now it's but he wants to get it down to 300, while the other ones have.
This is, by the way, hold on. I'll give you another. This is for
that's
the
what
same
I'm saying.
reason.
And it's going to be imbalanced.
Josh,
1 second.
This whole we should be using nuclear weapons.
9/12.
No, I know, but no.
Just on 9/12/01.
By the way, we are the only nation that used one.
1 second.
And it sent a
Ladies
powerful
and gentlemen,
you won't hear from them for another 50 years.
Ladies and gentlemen,
9/12.
by the way,
we're past that
okay,
point,
1 second.
Rob.
In terms of a historical lesson, Rob, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. If you know the history of what happened there, it was reluctant. They wouldn't give up. That saved lives. If they had invaded, if they would have invaded, it would have caused 2 million lives on both sides.
Come on. Yes, but at the same time, and I think history's showing this, and you can say it's revisionist, but it's not so revisionist. We were beginning to see the Cold War coming, and we knew that Russia, although our ally then, was not going to be our ally after, and they were trying to get the nuclear weapon too, and we knew that if we dropped the bomb, yes, it would save 100,000 lives, but it would
more than that. No, 2 million lives.
No, 100,000 soldiers.
Excuse me.
You have to decimate your
Rob, that is a historical inaccuracy. It would have cost.
For sure.
Rob,
the war was ending.
Conservative estimates are 1 million Japanese deaths. The Japanese were going to fight death before dishonor.
But
it saved 2 million Japanese lives.
I wasn't counting Japanese. I'm an American.
Right. But we were. The Americans were counting.
Wait, God, you're shutting me down.
Americans were counting Japanese lives by using the nuclear bomb. Yes.
Okay. Whether you guys like to admit it or not, we killed 250,000 completely innocent civilians like that. And all I'm saying is that message that it sent to the world and to Russia was, don't F with the United States.
And it worked real well. And it worked real well. And if they didn't want to get nuked, there shouldn't have been a Pearl Harbor, Rob. If they didn't want to be nuked, there shouldn't have been a Pearl Harbor. What are you talking about?
Okay, 1 second, Rob.
Please already.
Let's
talk about the next nuke. Let's talk about Iran.
1 second. No, I want to make a point. This is very important.
Jamie's on his horse now.
No, I gave you a chance to. No, Rob, I gave you a chance to talk. Okay?
You're right. Yes.
I love nukes.
First of all,
I like your
get your
shirt very
Are you afraid of people speaking? to discredit you when you completely distort history?
Go.
How many people died in the bombing of Hiroshima? Do you know? Because I study American history.
Well, I've said in both cases, I think the collateral of both cities was about 250,000.
No, you're wrong.
What is it?
It's 70,000 in Hiroshima and roughly 60,000 in Nagasaki.
But when you count the others, when you count the collateral deaths that happened after, it was 250,000 total, right?
No, it wasn't.
Okay,
so
well,
let me finish my point.
Fine, 170,000.
Let me finish my point.
Phenomenally big number.
Yes.
Of
Do you want to talk?
instantly.
Okay. Are you going to be doing all the talking, or can I make my point? In terms of the bombings at Dresden and Hamburg, in terms of the conventional bombing, more people. In terms of what would have happened in Japan.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Are you going to keep talking, or are you going to let me talk?
I'm just saying, two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah. Are you going to keep talking?
You are talking. Finish.
Let me finish a sentence without interrupting me.
I did. Go finish.
If the Americans were going to invade Japan, a landed invasion, conservative estimates, this is what Truman agonized with. It would have caused 2 million lives on the Japanese side and at least 500,000 American soldiers. That act prevented the loss of millions of lives. And why I brought that up is you said that America is the only one that used a nuclear bomb, and it has to be qualified that it did it justifiably and is not a threat to the world because it's had nuclear weapons and will not use them because it's a humanitarian nation. However, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, it will use it, and it's bragging that it's going to eliminate Israel. Therefore, what do you think of the president meeting with Letterman instead of with Netanyahu? Nancy.
That was the most disgusting thing. He not only met with Letterman, he was meeting with Beyonce, and he was going to Las Vegas, even though he told all of us we don't have to go to Las Vegas and spend money. Remember when he was campaigning or when he first became president? You know, Netanyahu, he's blowing him off, and I was just absolutely astonished because I thought even Barack Obama, who I am not fond of, would meet with Netanyahu under these circumstances, given what Israel is facing and given the chaos in the Middle East.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there's something...
Nancy, what's going to happen with Israel and Iran?
What I think is going to happen is I think that Israel set a timeline out further than what they actually are going to do. I think they're going to have to strike sooner than March or the summer. I hope not. But I think they're waiting till after the election, hoping that Romney will get elected and they'll have someone that'll back them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we only got a couple minutes left. Rob, 1 second. Just let Josh go on Iran and Israel, and then you go ahead.
1981, Israel is vilified for saving the world from Saddam Hussein with nukes. 2007, Israel is vilified for saving the world from Syria with nukes. Syria, by the way, killing its own people in the streets. Okay? So they're vilified for both, and you know what? They're not so stupid that they don't know that they have to do something about Iran, but you know what? It'll be a lot more than 500 people dead in Israel. It'll be a lot more. They've got thousands and thousands of missiles.
Now, Rob wanted to talk about Israel and Iran. Go ahead.
Want to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, this is something, you know, I told you, I was on the radio saying 4 years ago, saying that the government needs to admit that they know how close, and they were saying, no, even 5 years, we don't know, that they were clearly making a bomb. Now they're clearly still saying they're not. The problem I have with what's happening is our government's approach in terms of dealing with this is isolating Israel in a bad way. I don't think Israel can take their bunker bombs aren't big enough to take out the nuke installations without us. Now that doesn't mean we won't be part of it, but I will tell you this, I heard Bill Clinton, who I really, you know, I'm a big Bill Clinton fan because I worked for him. I heard Bill Clinton say on an interview the other day that basically, you know, he made the best argument for why Iran getting a weapon, even if you believe they're not crazy, which he thinks they are, and would use it, even if they said we're not gonna, the smallest amount of fissionable material that they could let get out to their terrorist organizations, to Hamas or Hezbollah, and let that out, would allow for dirty nukes and for the spread of terrorism, dirty nukes. And I'd never thought about it. And Clinton said, people aren't paying attention to this part. It's not just that Iran will use the bomb.
They have agents who will work
and do small bombs and take out, he said that, a tiny little bit would take out half of Washington, D.C. That's something to worry about.
Now, and in terms of it being something to worry about, Nancy, what do you think of that in terms of...
No, I've never heard that before.
I had neither. Clinton said people
Nancy,
don't know.
It sounds, you know, I remember a picture of an imam saying, if you take a little suitcase and you put anthrax in it, and you take it, and I mean, they already had the idea of using fissionable material or deadly material and coming in small amounts and coming out to the United States and killing us. So why not? Why not? I never thought of that. I think he's a smart guy.
And if you're Iran, it makes total sense because you're going... Because Clinton's point was if Iran uses the nuclear weapon, he said, you know, we're going to destroy them.
Okay.
But what if they filter it out? And
Okay.
let other people
We just have a couple minutes left. Josh, give a final point on that.
Let me clarify this 9/12 thing. I say for illustrative effect, I talk about, 9/12, we should have nuked them. Look, you can disagree with me. Here's the deal.
But
we
nuked who?
Our response should have been a lot heavier, a lot more heavy-handed. And I think that today at the UN, Netanyahu was very heavy-handed and had a good spine. And our own president doesn't have that kind of a spine.
Wait. 9/12. On 9/12, George W. Bush came out and said that Islam is a religion of peace. After 3,000 people were just incinerated, George Bush started this whole thing. That was like waving a white flag of surrender. That was the most disgusting thing.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we just have a minute and a half left. Rob brought it up in the first segment, I think a very important thing that he said, that he thinks that Romney is a catastrophe. I'm not sure if you meant it in terms of what you think of his politics or his campaign. But let us leave with the 2012 election predictions. What do you think is going to happen in the election, and what do you think about how each candidate is behaving themselves in campaign mode?
Obama has a masterful campaign organization. He's also the president, but he's got a masterful organization. They're on the ground. I think polls 40 days out, who knows, but the media is beating up on Romney. Romney's not helping himself. I don't know why the guy can't articulate what he stands for. I swear the other day I was like, this is the best I'm not a big Obama fan. I don't think what he's doing is working. This is the best alternative you could come up with. So I think his campaign and him, so what I think is if he doesn't figure out how to tell people what he plans to do and how he's going to do it differently, Obama's going to win by a much. I thought it was going to be close, and I don't even know if it'll be close anymore.
Is it a good or a bad thing that Obama will get in again? Does it worry you that he'll have another 4 years?
Well, it does for different reasons. I don't think what's happening in my book. I said what we need to do. I don't think we're doing it, and I think we're going to keep doing more of the wrong stuff.
In terms of the national debt, right?
In terms of the debt, in terms of our spending, in terms of how we're rebuilding the country. Not to mention, I don't think it's going to be. I'm a big Israel supporter. I don't think he's going to do the right thing. I don't think it's good.
By the way, in terms of the national debt, I think Obama's doing it on purpose, and you build it up so big that the whole system comes crashing down.
It's going to break.
Yeah, of course, but he's doing it on purpose. He wants to destroy capitalism. Josh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, there's no question about it. This man has no spine, and he should have stood up, and he should have said something about freedom of speech, and he didn't.
Who?
And he's Obama.
No, okay, right, but now, just very quickly on Romney and his campaign.
Oh, Romney and his campaign is more benign all the time. Rob's right. He's more and more benign. The country wants to hear someone stand up and say, screw you, we speak freely, and you have no right to not be offended. If he were to get up and say that, the whole tide would just turn. And Americans are just dying. Okay. Americans are dying for someone to stand up for American ideals.
Thank you. Nancy, last word goes to you.
Romney did come out right after the attacks happened, and he said something very presidential. It sounded strong, and I was very hopeful at that point. But if Obama wins, I think that's the end of the United States of America. I honestly, sincerely do.
Josh, I think that the debt's going to go up to maybe even double after he gets in for another 4 years.
I wouldn't doubt it for a minute.
Yeah.
Nancy, I don't share your grim view. I think the American people will rescue America from this idiot.
But it's going to be a big rescue because the debt, as I've said for a long time, the debt is sinking us and it's destroying our future and our kids' future, and we got to turn this around and make tough choices.
Josh Brewster,
a concerned citizen.
Nancy Bonus and Rob Nelson, what an honor to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, my new book, High Noon for America, The Coming Showdown, deals with all of these issues, how we are confronting right now an enemy and the catastrophe of the Obama administration. Get it and equip yourselves to have knowledge to fight for the freedom of this country and this civilization. We'll see you next week. Good night.